Hotep. My name is Jehudi Ausar. You're now tuned into Kim West. The title of this little mini episode is going to be I Am, Then, Now, and Tomorrow. Basically, with this little episode, I'm going to explain who I am, who I found myself to be in my self-search, and to find out who I am. Basically, I'm going to start off like this. I was born in 1973 under the name of Taurus Braxton to Gussie Braxton, Elmo Harvey in South Carolina. I'm going to cut a lot of this back talk off because, you know, it's just to give a foundation of what's going on. And basically, with that being in place, the first thing that came to my attention was my name, Taurus. So as you well know, throughout the years, I was always wondering, like, what's up with that name, Taurus? And I asked my mom's, and she pretty much told me it was either going to be Josephus or Taurus. So I'm glad she chose Taurus. But fast forward in like 20, 30 years, man, bringing me to New York. I, left South Carolina, moved to New York, following my musical dreams, and did accomplish, some things in the sound engineering field, which is what I am by trade. And basically, I've been doing the knowledge. I woke up to consciousness when I was around 13, 14. And being where I'm from in South Carolina is like, whoa. Anybody that's conscious down there is like a miracle. But you also have other brothers like Bobby Hemmett, that's one of the teachers now, that's from an even smaller place than where I'm from, called Mullen, South Carolina. So, it was definitely a blessing and a miracle to become conscious down in those circumstances. But basically bringing it up to New York, I moved up here. Been up here 15 years now. And basically, I guess I fell asleep for a while, got real heavy into the music, started working with a lot of big people. And once that was all over, and, I went through what I went through, ended up getting with, these guys, Harlem Six, producing them, became a part of the Wu-Tang Clan, which I still am part of the Wu-Tang Clan. And basically, through all of that, I started becoming awake again. I started waking back up. And the question on my mind at this point was, who am I? Who am I? What is the most relative life that I had that's close to this life? So that was the first question I asked myself. And things started coming to me. Cutting a long story real short, with the name Taurus. First thing I came across a Bobby Hemmett tape, a DVD. And I started, watching that. I watched like 2 or 3 times. And when he was doing libations, giving homage to the gods, he called out a name, Jehudi. And out of all the names, I guess he went through about 75 gods. And when he reached Jehudi, my ears perked up like, wow, what is that? So cutting a long story real short, that led to me doing my own research on the internet, and I started researching pre-dynastic Egypt. And for me, Egypt has just been like, King Tut, Nefertiti, that was Egypt. So once I started doing this research on pre-dynastic Egypt, it was like, wow, I started learning a lot of things about this culture, this ancient culture, And basically, cutting a long story short, I'm going to keep saying that because it is a long story. I'm trying to compress this. So the first thing I did was I read that, and I came across one of the old hekkas or affirmations or chants that these ancient people would do once they started their meditation practices, and it was Ankh Ba. So that sparked my, it was like, Ankh Ba, okay, I was, starting my meditation at that point, so I started meditating with that same hekka. Second thing it led me to was trying to find out what was up with my name again. So basically, I did some more research about a week or so after I found out about the Ankh Ba, and something came to me. It was like, dude, why don't you look and see what time period that was in the zodiac? Like right now we're in the age of Aquarius. So I did the research, and lo and behold, that time, which was about 4,500 years ago, 5,000 years ago, was the age of Taurus. So therefore it was like, wow, okay, that kind of makes sense to me. My Kundalini sparked. It was like, okay, that's right there. So that led me to the point, was like, okay, let me research this time period. Second thing that started coming to me was the Ankh Ba. When I was a child, I was raised by my parents, but I hung out a lot with my grand uncle and his wife. And his name is Uncle Bud, Albert Credit, but we all called him Uncle Bud. So then that started sparking something like, wow, Uncle Bud, Unc Ba, Uncle Bud, Unc Ba. It's like, wow, okay. That's another thing that sparked my Kundalini. Then I thought about his wife, Eva Credit, and what we called her. We called her Nana. 5,000 years ago, 4,000 years ago, that was what mother was called. Nana. That was the nickname. Offset was the Nana, the Nene, the Nana. So it's like, wow, okay, that's what it is. So basically, I'm saying all of this to say that people, this is not your only life. You have lived before. You will live again. You are here right now, just as well as I'm sitting here, and sure as I'm sitting here right now talking to you, is the positive proof that we do live multiple lives. I had a friend of mine that passed in 2005. Her name is Naima Perdue. And basically, after she passed on, I started doing some research on past lives. And at the time, I was doing a construction job with a friend of mine. And the night that I read this past life reading of mine, it said that I was a woman. And it also said that I was a ditch digger. Now, why that was so peculiar was the day that I read that, on the construction job that I was doing, we were, building an extension on a house. And the day that I read that, we started digging a trench for this house. And it was hard work that day. It was like, wow, this is hard. And that blew my mind. I was like, wow, this thing said I was a ditch digger. The day I started digging this trench, and I was a woman. So then I did another past life reading, and it said I was a woman again. It's like, okay, the last life before this one, I would have been, of a female energy and in female form on this planet. Another thing that it said that time is that in the old age of my female existence with this previous life, right before this one, I was a cripple, right? And when I was small, if I was doing something with my left hand, I would hold my right hand like this. If I was doing something with my right hand, I would hold my left hand like this. And I can remember my pops always asking me, like, why you do that with your hand? I didn't have an answer. But years later, it hit me. It was like, because that was something that was following me from my past life. It's just like when you're a child, you do something that's, whatever. I mean, you're a child, you do things follow you throughout your life, from childhood to adolescence, from adolescence to adulthood, from this life to the next. It's all the same thing. So basically, with that being the case, I really started focusing on the energy that was coming to me, the information that was coming to me, and what I needed to do to further enlighten myself for the coming events of 2012. So obviously I started, doing more reading, doing more research on the internet, coming across more teachers, and pretty much it's got me back to where I am now. Like, everybody's going through a hard time right now with this economic situation. But in the end of the day, what keeps me going is the fact that I'm gaining all of this new outside knowledge of this matrix realm. It's making sense to me. My meditation is really starting to build. My Kundalini energy is sparking like crazy. My telekinesis and psychic energy is really off the hook now. Like I can read a lot of things from people. I can almost look at somebody and tell what their sign is, tell the background for people. So the energy is definitely getting stronger. But yeah, man, basically, in a nutshell, man, the overall of this is I am. You are. You are here now. You were here then. You will be here tomorrow if your karma allows. Unless you become enlightened enough to where you don't have to come back to this realm to learn any more lessons. But if you do have to learn any more lessons, you will come back. The hardships of life are just your experience. What you need to experience to learn the lessons you need to learn. So yeah, man, I'm not going to take up too much of your time. But, just take it in for yourself that you are an everlasting soul. You live on. So, don't get caught up in too much of the now. You live in the now. But know that you will be just as you were, as you are, because you are. and I am Jehudi Ausar. This is Ken West, and thanks for stopping by, and we'll be in touch. Hotep.